listening to
A to the K.
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 A to the K Wrestle Talk Podcast.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.
Let's talk about this week in wrestling, shall we, Carl?
Yes.
Are you ready?
Talk.
Are you ready for a good time?
Sorry,
that's SmackDown's. What's Raw do now? What's Raw's one?
In your face. Pretty much.
You know what? This not to digress before we go into this week in wrestling, but this needs to be a topic in its own right. You know, I'm going to note this down for a future segment 3 because do you not feel that the show's theme musics have become shit?
Oh yeah.
Like
definitely.
They seem to change way too much as well. I lost track completely. Right, my opening theme musics, right, for SmackDown and Raw were Union Underground, obviously for Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remember what the track was called, but that one.
Across the Nation.
Across the Nation. It's fucking awesome, right? And should always be Raw's theme music. I don't care. And SmackDown's weirdly is Beautiful People by Marilyn Manson.
Oh, okay.
Because that was the one that was sort of at the pinnacle of me watching SmackDown like every Saturday religiously. It was Beautiful People.
For me, it was the ones before they got like proper people to do it, if that makes sense. So like the SmackDown one is like the
oh yeah, I think I used that on the when we done the segment on the games. I think I actually used that SmackDown. To be fair, that does stick in your mind, but weirdly I associate that more with the games than I do the show.
Oh, okay, yeah, I can see that. And then I think for Raw it was the like where my lock when I'm at beat to the beat.
Yeah.
Like the proper old school one before the underground one, but yeah, like I fucking love that. Move to the music.
I still can't believe that was going to be Tests.
Yeah, that is crazy, that isn't it?
Like no offense to Test, but like that would have been wasted on Test. It was definitely the right call to make that Raw's theme.
Yeah, it's an awesome theme.
But they've tried so many different things since, and they're just not as good.
No. Definitely.
And they seem to, like, as I say, they seem to just change it way too much as well. We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this in detail, Carl. I'll save this for a future segment.
Okay. I'm keen to discuss. So for the shitly themed Raw for this week, the match card,
which didn't have a subtitle. It was just a plain old Raw, wasn't it?
Just a plain old Raw. Well, this one was in your face, wasn't it?
Oh, sorry. No.
Wasn't it?
No, this one wasn't in your face. Last week's was in your face.
Was it?
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. Who knows anymore? But yeah.
Either way, they randomly decided to do one with a subtitle and none of the others.
I'm pretty sure it was this one, because we had the Street Profits. The Street Profits taking on Cesaro and Nakamura.
Oh, yeah, okay. My bad, this one.
We had Cedric Alexander Street Profits won that one and retained the tag titles. Cedric Alexander took on Ricochet with Cedric picking up the win. We had Asuka taking on Mickie James for the women's Raw Women's title, with what a fucking mess of a finish that was. Resulted in Asuka picking up the win somehow. Lashley beat up Eric from the Viking Raiders. We had
because
Seth Rollins.
They've been building that for a while, so I'm glad that we finally got the Lashley versus Eric from the Viking Raiders match. That was definitely needed.
It was definitely a good payoff to that feud. We then had Seth Rollins versus Dominic Mysterio in a cage match, with Rollins picking up the win. We had more from Raw Underground. I feel like we need to call it Raw Blunderground at this point.
They do. Until they bring the pit into it, like I've asked for, I'm not happy.
Yeah, not good. But we got to see Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black. We also got to see the Riot Squad taking on Natalya and Lana, with the Riot Squad picking up the win. And the main event of the evening was Drew McIntyre taking on Keith Lee, with no contest picking up the win because
that famous tag team
retribution. So, firstly, I'll start off by saying it was infinitely better than last week, but still had a lot of problems, which we've come to know and expect, unfortunately, from Raw.
As we're positive people, Carl, should we talk about the good things first?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So, surprisingly, Anthony, Street Profits versus Cesaro and Nakamura was actually a pretty good match, to be fair.
Yes. I agree. Come.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, but like I know that has probably come as a shock because I'm not a big fan of the Profits.
No,
in
I
the
think
first
it's as much as I've not praised. I enjoyed certain things the Prophets did more than you. But that being said, I think we've both been kind of annoyed with how they are gimmick-wise and character-wise. But they are decent in the ring. We don't get to see it a lot because they do more backstage stupid shit than they do actual matches. But they are good in the ring, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, if they were to trim that back a bit and spent more time just performing in the ring and instead of trying to be funny and getting involved in silly segments, I think it'd do them the world of good. But
that's the thing.
the match itself,
I think credit goes to Cesaro and Shinsuke though, because they've certainly they're a large part of why this match looks so good.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it was a good matchup, and they both kind of gave everything to it. But I was a bit disappointed in the finish to the match with Cesaro eating the pin. But
I was because do you know something? I think that match should have ended on that awesome uppercut from Cesaro.
Yeah,
which is it looks fucking awesome. That he should have ate the pin on that. I don't care if the Street Profits lose. He should have ate the pin on that because that was a boss move.
Well, yeah, but hey ho, that was not
to go for. I don't know what he actually calls it. But we had to go for the stupid splash, didn't we, for the win?
Yeah. So of course, but yeah, fair play to them. It was a good match. Finally, Zelina Vega has binned off Andrade and Garza, and I'm glad, to be honest. I'm glad it was Zelina kind of being the one who just did the binning this time.
Yeah, it was a better way of going than I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, a big breakdown, and she'd be like, no, please stay together, and blah, blah, blah. But she just went, you know what, fuck the pair of you. I can't fix this, so bye. Which I thought was great. And, later on that night, after the women's match, which we'll get onto later, she actually comes out and challenges Asuka.
Yeah,
and
straight for the gold, man.
Pretty good promo as well, to be fair. So I'm excited. Like,
yeah. Do you know what though? I've not seen a lot of it in the ring. Like, I know she's good on the mic, so the promo it was good, but I weren't like shocked. I went like, wow, that's shockingly good for her. Yeah. She's always been good on the mic. I'd be interested to see how she does in the ring, especially against someone like Asuka.
Well, I wasn't blown away when she had that match the other week with who was it? It was in like a tag match or something, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
Who was trying to get her? Oh yeah, Bianca Belair. She kind of battered, didn't she?
Belair. Yeah, that was it.
So I wasn't like the match itself was good, and Vega got tossed around a lot, but she didn't really get any offense in, so it was hard to judge. But if she's half as good in the ring as she is on the mic, then fair play to her. I've always worried because she's fucking tiny. So when it kind of comes like when she's in there with Bianca Belair, it was a proper like size mismatch. It was like Rey Mysterio and Big Show kind of thing.
We see Mysterio reach the top pinnacle of WWE, being only 5'1" or whatever it is. You never know.
Yes. But yeah, so I'm definitely interested in that, and fair play to Zelina. Hopefully, she's binned off them two for good now, and is just going to focus on being singles.
What I've heard on the grapevine from my good buddies over at WWE that Vince isn't too hot on either Garza or Andrade.
Oh, really? So obviously, the last time we were speaking about this, it seemed he was quite big on Garza, even more so than Andrade, and saw him like
sadly, he definitely said that at one point. But sadly, it would appear that they've both fallen from the good graces of one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. So we might find that they're not getting a lot of screen time come in the near future.
It could be interesting because obviously Andrade and Charlotte are a thing, and I know Vince will want to do what he can to keep Charlotte sweet. So I wonder whether they both kind of suffer, or whether
while she's not there, he doesn't give a fuck.
Well, yeah, exactly. But yeah, very interesting. I wonder how that will develop. Seth Rollins, great again. Great character work, great promo. Murphy had a very important role tonight, and he fucking paid for it as well because he got battered. So yeah, the match itself was great. Slight caveat: I didn't want to put it in the O'Shites, but at the same time, it did piss me off. What were they trying to do now with Ray's daughter, kind of checking on Murphy, like to see, like, is that going to turn into a thing now? Is it going to be
probably?
But like, isn't Murphy like nearly 40 or something, and isn't she like 19?
I think she's 21. In all fairness, Carl.
Okay.
But correct me if I'm wrong, internet. But there's definitely an age difference there, and it's definitely kind of weird if they're gonna go down that romance angle, especially if Ray's on board with it. Okay.
It just didn't feel like she's. I know she's not in the wrestling business and she's not an actress or anything like that, but she's been shit. Like, I mentioned last week or the week before when Dominic was getting battered. It looked like almost she was smiling backstage. If anything,
maybe she's going to join Murphy. Maybe it's all been a plan the whole time.
Maybe she's that good that she's pulled the wool over my eyes. But yeah,
Here's what I don't. I think it hasn't been long enough for her to be concerned. Because wasn't it Murphy that they all beat like a piñata last week?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like 1 minute.
Oh no, he threw you into a cage. Oh, poor guy. It's like, I'm still sore from what you did, bitch.
Exactly. You know what? Fucking bang on the money with that because it just goes to show like there's no consistency there with anything they do. So it was fucking annoying, but the match itself was fine. So it definitely deserved to be on the.
Oh yeah. No, and again, stellar work from Rollins and good story. Like the story, other than that weird little bit with Ray's daughter, it's good storytelling. To be honest, as a whole, I know they've had some misses here and there, but overall, like this weird sort of relationship he's got with Murphy is actually kind of compelling because Murphy's desperately trying to get back in his good graces and took an absolutely. It's very similar to Brody Lee in terms of that abusive power dynamic, really, but. And I dare say Brody Lee's is a better execution, but nevertheless, you can't argue that Seth puts this across fantastically well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good comparison. I think between them two. But yeah, I'm enjoying both. But yeah, I definitely think fair play to Seth. He's doing the character well. Drew versus Keith was good up until the ending. I guess it wasn't. Yeah, I guess it was a nice preview of something we might see down the line, but. Yeah, it does bother me at the same time that they're so scared to just follow through with an actual finish. Feels like every week there's at least 2 or 3 no contests or disqualifications or something. It's like just have someone win. It's not going to kill.
I feel
anyone.
like we're getting another match on this coming Raw.
Yeah, I think we might be. So I mean, the amount of times Drew has cost Keith a match, and now he hasn't even been able to finish a match with him. Like, doesn't surprise me.
So my theory is they're going to let them finish this match on Raw, and then that'll lead into Gold Rush. That's my theory. So we might actually see a finish on this week's.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Randy will be back in time for Gold Rush, so maybe we don't, and it turns into a triple threat. Who knows? But yeah, just a small bit as well. But I thought it had me in stitches actually when fucking Adam Pearce comes out and is like lambasting Drew, and then Drew just kind of goes like, "Who put you in charge?" It's just like so true and so funny because like who the fuck is this guy? Not to be all Conor McGregor, but like who the fuck is that guy? Like he just turned up one day and then now he's here fucking talking shit to Drew, and it's like
now that's the storyline. If it turns out he was never employed by WWE at all.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Turned out one day.
Yeah. And you know, Anthony, the highlight of the week for me was the hair business.
I dare say, I'm with you on this, Carl. I wasn't that big on them until
fair play, to MVP in particular to come back for we talked about the Rumble before, we didn't bring MVP up, but he came back as a one-off in the Royal Rumble. We were like, oh yeah, he is going to be gone, and then all of a sudden he was this main fixture on telly, and we were a bit like, oh fucking hell, like and then slowly but surely over time he's built this hair business. He's taken a bunch of guys who couldn't get over really on their own, like Shelton Benjamin's never been able to get over. Bobby Lashley, he got the physique but he can't talk or anything, never been able to get over. Cedric, loads of talent there, but he was just kind of wasting away. He's brought him on too, and now suddenly the fucking lot of them are proper over. So from the way backstage they were like, you need to up your security, blah blah blah. And Adam Pearce is like, oh, be my guest if you do. And he's like, we don't do stuff for free.
I liked it because the suggestion from Pearce was like, oh, if you want to volunteer, and he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's like, I like it.
Yeah, so like that was awesome. But then like the fact that obviously Retribution interfered in the Drew and Keith Lee match, and then the hair business, all 4 of them just come down and were like, yeah, fuck it, bring it on. And then they all just started like battering the fucking Retribution, and then Drew and Keith Lee did some weird little flippy thing over the top rope, and then that's how the show ended, which is kind of annoying. But
yeah, it's nice to see that like the hair business, that was definitely an over moment. That was badass when they come out to deal with it, especially because the way they've been booking it weirdly with Retribution is like, with a stadium full of big tough guys who are not scared of nothing, and no one wants to deal with them. So that was kind of always booked a little bit strange.
Yeah,
like why I don't know. But then that it's really helped the hair business because they've come out and gone, yeah, let's fucking deal with it then.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's an interesting one because by all accounts they're still heels, but obviously everyone hates Retribution, so it's kind of obviously because that was so badass. Like, what's the reaction going to be now to them? So
Yeah, it's a weirdly face thing to do, isn't it?
yeah, so
I suppose they're going to try and salvage it by going, well, yeah, you can cheer us if you want, but we were getting paid for that.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Now, Anthony, over to the O'Shites.
Oh
So
yes.
this is a small snippet, but what the fuck was the commentary situation? So we start the show and Drew McIntyre's on commentary, and then we're like, well, hang on a minute, Drew McIntyre's gone. Where did he go? Then we find out he was in Raw Underground. It was like, what? So you were just on commentary 1 minute, the next minute.
So did you mean
What?
Dolph?
Oh, what did I say?
Drew.
Ah, fuck.
Got one. Yeah.
Was it? Did I say Drew or Michael?
Drew McIntyre.
Not Michael.
No, man. All right, whatever. At least you picked another wrestler. I get it.
But yeah, so obviously we started the show with Dolph Ziggler on commentary, and then he was there 1 minute, the next minute he was gone, and then apparently he was in Raw Underground, and it was like, well, that makes sense because a minute ago you're on commentary. Then MVP's on commentary, and it's like, what? I don't.
No
get
one wanted
that.
to go, oh, Samoa Joe can't join us this week because of. So we didn't know why Joe weren't there.
Just wasn't mentioned. And then Dolph fucked off. MVP was on commentary. Then he fucked off, only to come out minutes later with the hair business, and it was like,
yeah. But if we don't talk about it, it's fine.
Yeah. So, I've got to. I'm definitely. I don't want this to come across like I'm souring on Drew McIntyre because I'm not by any way, shape, or form. But fucking promo shit again. Like, I can't be justified if I'm giving Randy Orton shit for, when's he got time to do Photoshop and whatever. Like this, Drew does the same shit this week. This fucking, oh yeah, here's everyone who I've Claymored. I've Photoshopped them in a hospital bed, and it's like,
yeah, it's like,
okay,
stupid. Yeah. I think the trouble is WWE are like, all right, we need to keep this going, but there's not really much more to be said. So like, I feel like sometimes the promo for promo's sake is like, well, this match is still coming, still going to be excited for it. But what more has Drew got to say about Randy? They've cut some brilliant promos when the feud first started, but now it's still going, and it's like, I'm still going to beat you. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, maybe don't come out to the ring and talk. Maybe just have the match. No.
Exactly.
Like if Drew hadn't have done his promo, I wouldn't have missed it because we're still getting the Keith Lee stuff as well. But it's like the WWE again thinking that we're a bunch of goldfish have gone, well, if we don't mention Randy, then how are people going to know about the Randy match?
Yeah,
the Randy match.
Exactly. Oh God, in your face. So yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. It's like that they're talking about it just because they think we're all stupid, or like they think that people just randomly tune in who've never seen the product before every week. And it's like, what? Doesn't make any sense.
You might have a point there, though, that they're too busy trying to cater to casual viewers, so everything gets a bit repetitive for people who are there all the time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The next one is Cedric and Ricochet. Like, I was really hyped to see this, and it just wasn't as good as I hoped it would be.
And
I don't think it was helped by the fact that...
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, I don't think it was helped by the fact that they went to commercial break halfway through it, and it kind of lost the momentum, and then it came back.
You know what it is with WWE with that kind of stuff lately?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think when they have promos in the middle of matches as well, you're like, why have you cut to this fucking promo? Or this backstage thing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. I also think, like, I don't really know what's happening now with this. So, like, they've moved Cedric, which makes a lot of sense, and it's good. But then at the same time, he was a team with Ricochet. Now Ricochet's on his own, but then Ricochet's now with Apollo, kind of. Ali was there at one point, and now he's fucking vanished again.
He's on main event now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah,
I feel bad for him because he went, no, you're gonna be in the main event, and he totally misunderstood.
So no, yeah, I was just a bit disappointed because I was really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and to be honest, it should have been a better match than it was. All due respect to them, they're both really good in the ring, so I was expecting a bit more from the match itself. But
it's like, the finish and stuff was awesome. Like the fucking Ricochet sold it really well, and like the finish itself is phenomenal. But yeah, there just wasn't enough there. So
I agree.
What the fuck, Anthony, was the finish to Mickie James versus Asuka? So
well, apparently, and it's you told me this, so I'll let you deal it. But I misinterpreted what happened here. I thought there was a legit injury, and she called for the finish. But I believe there's some suggestion here that might not have been the case, Carl.
So apparently, like there was initial rumors floating around that Mickey might have dislocated his shoulder or something. But you could clearly
For
see,
those who are relying purely on us, this spot came from, she was in the Ascalon at the time, wasn't she, that the match was called? Which is, I think, where the suggestion that she sort of dislocated her shoulder from that particular move, or from the position she was in that move.
Yeah, so it was really weird because like Asuka had her in the Asuka lock, and then she kind of rolled out of it into some weird pin, but the referee didn't start counting. So then they rolled it back into an Asuka lock, and then all of a sudden the referee just waved it off and said she can't continue. So it was like, what? And we were watching it, we didn't see anything that would have that was clear anyway. So that was just such a screwy finish. And yeah, basically somebody like the referee or somebody backstage gave the referee the kind of call to end the match because they thought she might have suffered a concussion. But Mickey was like, oh. So
literally nothing happened, guys.
Yeah, so
I couldn't even see anywhere where she might have got a concussion. I don't know. I really don't know where that's a really poor call from somebody there.
Yeah, like it was honestly, it was mental, and it's, I get it to a degree, like especially with like the flack AEW got recently, but yeah, I don't know, like if it's going to result in people just randomly stopping matches when there's nothing wrong, then
and it's one of them. You can be overcautious, because like AEW got flack because that was a blatant concussion that they rolled with. Like we would have struggled to know what the fuck you were calling here, guys. Like you wouldn't have been blamed for waiting a little bit longer to see what was going on.
Well, exactly. But yeah, so it was really disappointing, to be honest. Like the match itself, even that didn't live up to my initial hype, and I don't think it was the fault of either of them. It just felt a little bit clumsy.
You see, I know you say it's not the fault of either of them, and they are both really good in the ring, but I don't know what was causing that, but it was very clumsy and very clunky, and like there was a little bit of disorder there. It's almost like they hadn't really planned it out very well. I don't know whose fault it is, but yeah, the whole thing felt a little bit clumsy.
I don't know whether it was like a little bit of overconfidence on their part, because they're both like seasoned veterans, so maybe they were like, oh, we don't really need to plan it as such, we'll just call it on the fly. But for whatever reason, maybe like, because Asuka's Japanese, I don't know how good her English is, like maybe they couldn't communicate effectively, or they were struggling in there.
Clothesline!
Yeah. So, but yeah, something felt off, shall we say. But shame, really. I hope they get a chance to do it again, and I hope the chemistry is better next time when we actually get a finish to it. But it seems unlikely, doesn't it, now that, they still pressed ahead with the Zelina thing and stuff as well, which I am still excited for. But yeah, shame that we wouldn't get to see that.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with it this week.
Yeah. We mentioned this before briefly, but Lashley versus Eric from the Viking Raiders. Why? Waste of time. Didn't need to happen. Didn't do anything for anyone, really. So, okay. Do you know who's a scary dude, Anthony? Braun Strowman, apparently. And, he's going to make loud noises and shout, and now he's going to go into Raw Underground, apparently. So
dressed like a Matt Hardy on Steads.
Yes, pretty much.
I don't know what his new attire is about, but it's like he wants to be. He might as well come out doing all that. Looks like he wants to be a Hardy boy.
So he basically goes into Raw Underground, beats up some people, and then fucking, what's his name? Dabba-Kato?
Yeah, they changed it to Dabba-Kato, haven't they?
Yeah. So it looks like they're setting up to something between him and Braun Strowman this week.
As we know from the chaos that is Underground, they weren't going to have the match there and then. No, they're all going to go home, have good rest, do the fluids, And weirdly, they're going to book it. They're actually going to advertise this match is happening, which we've never seen in Raw Underground before. That's kind of strange too.
Yeah, very interesting. Fucking Kit Kat promo. So just as part of WWE's sellout status, they now obviously had a partnership with Kit Kat, and so R-Truth is there eating a Kit Kat. Liv Morgan comes over for some reason. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it really annoys me when people sell out and advertise products in their show. I just don't know how to feel about that.
I know, right?
It just makes me want to have a drink.
I know.
And when I'm thirsty, just kidding.
Hilarious. But yeah, so that was just, I don't know, it was cringeworthy as fuck, and it didn't make any sense. Also, right, how fucking shit was the backstage kerfuffle between Drew and Keith Lee?
That was awkward, to be honest.
Awful. It was like, don't touch my back. No, don't touch my back. You think you can stop the Limitless one from touching your back? And it's like, fuck.
It was like that, like, I don't know what they were going for. It was so awkward. Like,
it was awful.
Why do you want to touch his back?
It was terrible.
Yeah. So unconvincing.
Horrendous. Yeah. I'm still flabbergasted by it now, just how bad it was. And then like the subsequent brawl after it was shit. It was like it was awful. And to think this is like your main event scene, like I was proper disappointed in Drew, to be honest, being involved in that.
Yeah. This worries me for this.
Mm.
Like this match is happening on this coming Raw, and this worries me because, like you say, that brawl was not good. Like the whole segment wasn't good. That brawl wasn't good. I know we've touched on this match happening, but like I'm wondering whether they can actually bring a decent match between the two of them now. I really am.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's annoying is the start of the match that they had before Retribution got involved looked all right, but stuff like this and like I don't know, Keith Lee's pissing me off. I made the joke last week about him being like fucking what's his face from Malcolm in the Middle,
That's
but like,
Stevie.
dude, just talk. Like, my God.
And it's the weird thing, he's putting that on.
I know.
I've seen. I didn't realize. Like, well, I didn't realize that. Like, you wouldn't be blamed for thinking that's just how he is. But like, we've seen him in that film, the main event. We've seen him in NXT, not even being that bad. But for some reason, he's putting this like, is he the breathless one now?
It sounds like it. Like, he literally looks like he's fucking knackered. And how are you
Like,
going to stop the limitless
it's like,
one?
what they don't tell you about the top is the air. Then
Love it, fucking love it. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sold on him at all on the main roster, and I feel really really bad for Drew because it's been poor now for a couple of weeks, which is
if it
crazy
keeps up much longer, it's going to be a bit worrying, isn't it? Really.
It is crazy, really, because yeah, I don't know. I never thought it would go that way, but okay.
But on that fateful day, Drew, when your gimmick dies and you lose your title, we will play the bagpipes for you.
we will, and we will wear kilts. So then we also got Kevin Owens versus Aleister Black finally, which was also very meh. All that build up and everything for a light flicker that distracts Aleister Black, and then Kevin Owens gets the win. Like, I'm not being funny. Why would it even distract him? He's been blind for the past fucking month. How does he even see? Yeah,
A good point, actually. You should know that.
What exactly? He sits in dark rooms all the time, just fucking listening to fucking emo music. But yeah, and then the last one, bit of a shit one to end on, really. But yeah, the Riot Squad and Natty and Lana was also very meh. It was just like a nothing match. It didn't really make any sense. You had Nia Jax and Shayna on commentary. Then after the match, Nia Jax puts Lana through a table. Like, wow, that's a big message to send.
It's, to be honest, it's one of them. I'm sat here like, stop trying to make Natty and Lana a thing.
Yeah.
Not a thing. Like,
it's not a thing.
Neither of them are, like. I feel bad saying this about Natty, but it's from what I see of it now. Like, neither of them are very good wrestlers. I don't know how you feel about that, Carl. She's trained in the Heart Dungeon or whatever. She's with Tyson Kidd. She's technically got the chops. She knows how to do a figure four, but I've never been that impressed with her in the ring. Now, whether that wasn't the case, like, I was dipping in and out of WWE when she was having her big run with the new Heart Foundation and stuff. So maybe she was better and she's sort of a bit past it now, for lack of a better way of putting it. But I've never been that impressed with Natty in the ring. So putting two people together who aren't really good in the ring doesn't work for me.
I think Natty's good enough to get by. I think the problem is that the business might have just passed her by a little bit. Like, she was really good at a time where the level of talent in the other women weren't great. So now I feel like they've got a lot of women there now who are like really, really gifted in the ring, and she's just kind of plateaued. So
she went from being the best to being the rest.
Yeah. But yeah, that, my friend, was this week's Raw, and it was infinitely better than the previous week, but not good enough that it can get anything more than a 2 out of 5. Yeah, it was just, like, the hair business stuff was good, the Zelina stuff was good, but, like, other than that, I'm kind of struggling, really, for super big highlights, so a 2.
I'm with you. I think a big old 2. Nice solid 2.
It definitely was a big number 2. Yeah, so that was Raw, Anthony. How about we kick it over to the worst of the Wednesday night?
Look it on over. That was lame. So, the card for NXT, Carl. We had Shotzi Blackheart going up against Io Shirai in a non-title match. They're just having a little bit of a back and forth. You know, we're not going to put any titles on the line, because why would you want to defend your title? We had Desmond Troy, who you may remember as Denzel Dejanay. I'm pronouncing that right.
Dejanay, yeah.
And he went up against Tommaso Ciampa, with Tommaso taking the win. Okay, yeah, kind of expected that. Sure.
Desmond Breakfast went up against Tomato Ciampa.
Nice.
Tomato Ciabatta.
We had Kushida coming back and going up against Austin Theory, with Kushida taking the win. We saw the team of Breezango going up against Imperium in a tag team title match, with Breezango taking the win. We had Caden Carter. I nearly said it wrong. Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro going up against Jesse Kamea and Xia Li, with Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro taking the win. Fucking nice. I'm gonna go and have a lie down. Then we had Drake Maverick and his reluctant tag team partner of Killian Dane going up against Rod Strong and Bob Fish, with Drake Maverick and Killian Dane taking the win. And then we closed the night out, Carl, with the match nobody wanted to see. We had Damian Priest going up against Tim Thatcher in a title match for the North American title, with Damian Priest retaining and taking the win. Now for the highlights, Carl. I will go as far as saying I've not been very big on Shotzi. I think we've both made jokes about Shotzi as well, because I think her gimmick is a little bit all over the place at the moment, and she is very green. Good joke. There's quality that, Carl. But this match between her and Io Shirai was brilliant. It was a really good match and shows a lot of promise for her. More so than Io, because obviously she's elevated to the point she's now the NXT Women's Champion, so she's been given the opportunity and proven herself. But this was a surprisingly a non-title, which kind of makes a bit of sense. Well, it doesn't really, because if it had been a title match, Io is still going to win, so why not put the fucking title on the line? Anyway, other than that little gripe, it was an incredibly good match, very enjoyable. Sorry, go on.
Definitely. And I was going to say, I completely agree. I feel almost bad for, kind of taking the piss at one point out of Shotzi, to be honest. I think everyone, if you've ever watched our pilot episode of Rumble Talk, the first time I saw her properly was like, I think I've said she just looks like a fucking great wrestler coming down there with bright green hair. And then, we found out she was going to drive a little mini tank like Generic Entrance 3, you know what I mean? It was like, oh God. But this match was fucking awesome, and she did a fantastic job. And even last week when she kind of set up to the match and stuff, with Io, don't make me hurt you, blah blah blah. Like, even that was good, but she was great in this, and I'm thoroughly impressed. And I will eat my hat, Anthony. I think.
To be fair though, I know you said it in jest, but I still think your point was merited, because I don't think she needs the bright colours and the mini tank and all this kind of stuff to get noticed. I think she's talented enough. Do you know what I mean? I don't think she needs to be that out there. Like, if she chooses to be, that's fine. I could be wrong on that front. But the little tiny tank and all that was like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? But this was a really good match, and you remember that more. Like, I remember that the quality of this match and the fact that she's actually really good in the ring more than anything.
Yeah. And it wasn't too long ago she was on Tough Enough, you know what I mean? And getting sent home for having a weird heart murmur or something that you found it in the physical. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So to think how far she's come from that to now putting on a match like that with Io Shirai, like, fair play. Mandy Rose, no disrespect, hasn't put on a match of that quality, and she's had like similar level of training. So
yeah, fair point. So the next highlight I've got, Carl, is and I don't know if you know him very well, because I don't, but Kushida coming in and having a nice decisive squash against Austin Theory. This is a highlight in an O-shite, as it were, because I'll mention the O-shites, because I kind of do them together, but like the fact that Theory seems to have fallen from grace massively to be squashed like this. But the fact is, the reason it's a highlight is Kushida looked awesome. He looks an absolute badass, and I don't know him all too well. This is him sort of having a little bit of a gimmick change, as it were. But I don't have a great experience of previous Kushida. I don't know if you do, Carl, but like, he certainly looked fucking awesome here.
Yeah, no, I don't really know much about him, if I'm perfectly honest, but I agree with everything you said. He looked like a bit of a badass, and yeah, mad for Austin Theory to come back. And he did cut a promo before this match that kind of made me think, okay, maybe he is going to be,
to be honest, that's what made him more of a Beck, because he come out and cut a promo and was like, I'll take on anyone. And Kushida comes out and he's like, uh-oh.
Exactly. So like, yeah. So yeah. No, I thought it. Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, and I was a bit up and down on this whole thing, but I'm going to put it as a highlight. Now, this is ultimately I have to ignore the little bits that I was like, right, because that's the point. It's the story. And this was Drake Maverick and Killian Dane going up against Bobby Fish and Rod Strong. And this is the way it was booked. I found myself like, for fuck's sake, because Killian Dane sort of left him to it, and Drake had to sort of do a lot of the match by himself, and he was a reluctant tag team partner, and ultimately made the save, and so on. And I'm like, it ended in a DQ finish, so it was a little bit of a screwy finish as well. But then I'm looking at it, and the more I look at it, the more I'm like, this made Drake Maverick look really good, because he fended off those two for as long as he possibly could, and it shows he's a fucking fighter, especially at his size and stature compared to them, right? And it was really quite good storytelling with this whole friendship or tag partnership they're having, assuming that they're going that direction. It certainly seems it, where Killian Dane was kind of reluctant to be involved and be that guy, and he wasn't, but then ultimately has a change of heart. And I'm like, in all, this is exactly what you want, and it provoked a reaction out of me. And just because that reaction was me being frustrated with Killian Dane doesn't make it a bad story. It was actually quite well executed as a whole. So despite the negative feeling I had at Killian at the time, I'm calling this a highlight because that's exactly what they wanted me to do. And it was just executed quite well. Do you get me?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I think the stuff as well beforehand, like the comedic stuff with Drake, where he's getting interviewed, and he's like, I haven't spoke to him. Yeah, have you got his phone number? Like, can I text him because I don't know if he's going to show up, stuff like that. Which is
I was actually a little worried for Drake, to be honest, because they seemed to pull him away from going up against Escobar, which I thought was the natural thing of like he'd go for a cruiserweight title run, and that kind of died off pretty quickly. And it seemed like he was floundering after signing a new contract with WWE, and I was a little worried for him, but I like where they're going with this. I think it has some potential.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was my last highlight, Carl. So as for the O'Shites, what's Tommaso back for?
I have no idea.
Like, Tommaso, before he went off for a little bit, expressed frustration with his current position in NXT. That was actually one of our news articles not too long ago. And now he's back, and he come back looking fairly awesome with that weird mask and everything, and now he's like squashing some, all due respect, randomer, and heading towards a feud with Jake Atlas. Yay. The main reason it's a no-shade for me is because Tommaso needs to get his ass over to the main roster. He's nothing left to do on NXT. This is the fucking problem.
Yeah, exactly that. But at the same time, what is he going to do on the main roster? Because, I don't know, it's going to be a step up for him in terms of like, he's one of the smaller guys, isn't he? So when you go on the main roster, that's where he's going to be going up against a lot bigger competition, so he'll look like less of a badass. So
I know, I just comparatively, I'm looking at SmackDown now, and I'm sick of Jeff Hardy's face, and I'm like, why can't we have Tommaso around? That would work.
No, I get it. I do get it. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he has done everything. Like, who knows? Maybe we'll get him in Gargano again.
I sincerely hope that does not fucking happen. No, I sincerely hope that we're going to let him do what he does until October. We're going to have this draft, and he's going to move on the draft. I really hope he moves on the draft, because we can't put him in the title scene again. We can't put him in the North American title scene. He's not going to go into the tag scene. What the fuck's he going to do?
Who knows?
Nothing. That's what he's going to do. Unless he's going to go up against Io Shirai. He's never done that before. So the other O'Shite I had was actually Austin Theory, which we kind of touched on, and it was purely like, cut this big promo, made it sound like he was going to be, let's do this, and then all went horribly wrong for him, didn't it? So, yeah. So that is the last one. For me, I would call this, I think I'd give it a 2.5, It was okay. It was an okay week, but there wasn't enough happening for me. There was nothing particularly exciting or enthralling, so I don't know how you feel about it, Carl, but...
Yeah, I was going to give it the same, but I think my score is pretty much reflected in the opening match between Shotzi and Io Shirai, because the rest of it was very just meh. Like, I don't care about Damian Priest. I don't really care about Tim Thatcher. The Drake and Killian stuff was interesting, but
that's the thing with Thatcher and Priest is that I didn't care so much that they're not even an O'Shite.
Exactly. They're just a nothing on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel like a 2.5 is fair, but I think it's just because mainly driven by how awesome the opening contest was. Is the only reason it's getting a decent-ish score at all.
Okay, so let's talk Dynamite, Carl.
Let us talk Dynamite.
Like the Fuse, bitch.
Wednesday show. Okay, I want that on a shirt as well. Like the Fuse, bitch. So, Anthony, the card for Dynamite this week. we got to see FTR take on the Jurassic Express, with FTR picking up the win. We got to see Hangman Page in singles action, taking on Kaz from the SCU, with Hangman picking up the win. MJF took on Sean Dean.
Ew.
MJF battered him. Private Party took on the newly formed tag team of Chris Jericho and Jake Hager, with Jericho and Hager getting the win. The NWA Women's title was on the line, Anthony. Thunder Rosa taking on Ivelisse. And the title remains firmly with Thunder Rosa because
there's some stuff that needs to be
a fucking prick. And we'll come on to that.
We'll talk more on that. But Thunder Rosa, I'll say it again. Can we keep you, please?
Can we keep you? Can we please? Can we keep you, please? Tony, can we keep her, please? And then, Anthony, the main event of Dynamite this week was a parking lot brawl. And what a fucking brawl it was, with the Best Friends taking on Santana and Ortiz, with Best Friends picking up the win. And I think I'm turning into that guy, right? But I think this might be the second guy, or at least the second week in like 2 or 3, where I don't have any shites, Anthony. I just don't have any. I don't have any, right?
Not even the potential issues you have with the NWA Women's title match.
I mean, I'm going to mention it, but the match itself was still fine. So
it was still fucking awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But feel free to weigh in as we go through and let me know if any of these would have been in your shites. But the highlights.
It was an shite for me, having to wait a few minutes for the adverts to finish.
Bastards. Bloody bastard. So, kicking off the highlights. Another stellar opening contest, once again from AEW. FTR they are legit, aren't they? And like them as the tag champs now, like they've probably got the best tag team in the business now in terms of what tag team old school wrestling is.
Yeah, fair play. It's an absolute testament. And they definitely had the potential, and they would definitely be underutilized.
100%
for them now.
100%.
They look fucking awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, they've got Tully as well, which is great, but like even without him, like they just look like, okay, these guys are these are bad guys, and like they're going to be solid to beat. So I can see them having the titles for quite a long time. Obviously, the money match that we want to see is going to be to build up against them versus the Bucks, but I don't think that'll be happening in the immediate future. But great high energy match again to start the show.
And you might say FTR, the Young Bucks got a kick out of it.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I didn't think this was so bad that it was an shite, but ahead of the match, the Young Bucks come down and super kick the referee for no apparent reason, and then walk off and throw their.
It was a super kick
fine.
Party. What do you want them to do?
He paid their fine up front, Anthony, almost like a Becky Lynch. But they threw it in the face.
Why did you reference that? Well, the difference was they didn't talk shit, pay the fine up front, and then never do nothing.
Well, yeah, that is true. At least they are actually doing things and warranting getting the fine.
They've got $5,000 a kick, though. That's quite an expensive little habit they've got there.
Yeah, it is a little bit. But yeah, so I don't know. I feel like that's obviously the money feud they're building up to, but FTR are heels at the minute, and Young Bucks have now turned heels. So it's going to be quite an interesting one.
Was that a super kick pun?
Yeah,
turn the heel.
Let's go with that. I like that. So yeah, another awesome kickoff to Dynamite. We then had Hangman Page taking on Kazarian, which is really good. Omega was actually on commentary for this match. So again, some really strong storytelling from them. So Omega was there, kind of again reiterating his point of that he firmly wants to be a singles wrestler and stuff now, and all that kind of thing. But
it was interesting the way they set that up. Like he's still involved, but they are definitely going down this line of them going singles runs, aren't they?
Well, yeah. What I thought was really good, and another classic example of their storytelling, is they said that this match was offered as SCU taking on Omega and Page, but Omega actually turned it down because he wants to be that single star, which explains the random booking of Adam Page taking on Kaz, because originally it would have made perfect sense. It would have been SCU against them too. So just stuff like that, like just makes perfect sense.
Beautifully done, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, like it's just so effortless, and it always makes sense. So yeah, I thought the match itself was excellent. There was so much back and forth, super entertaining. Hangman looked fantastic. He's been in this tag team for ages, so you can forget like the fact he's going to be a world heavyweight champion at some point. So yeah, really, really good. MJF, man. I fucking love MJF. I just love him. I love him so much. He's a national treasure.
He is awesome.
He comes out, he fucking batters this guy in like 10 seconds, gets the win. And he cuts a promo basically saying, he never lost a match because Mox cheated. So he asks Justin Roberts to announce him now going forward as the undefeated, undisputed, underground AEW World Champion of All Elite Wrestling. It was like fucking brilliant. Yeah, interestingly, after the match, he then kind of said, well, if you look around, it seems like there's a new faction forming every week. Everyone's a part of a faction now. Maybe it's time this lone wolf joins a wolf pack. So that's just...
Yeah, an interesting comment.
Yeah, so what's he going to do? Is he going to form his own? Is he going to, find one to join? So...
Or is he going to bring back the wolf pack?
Oh, fucking hell, I hope not. I really hope not. But for me... And I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I was thinking about it, whether I would like it or not. To be honest, I don't want him to join a faction at all, but it does, leave me with some intrigue. But I wonder what a faction would look like as the new version of the Four Horsemen, where you've got FTR, you've got Sean Spears, you've got MJF. MJF is the Ric Flair character. FTR are the Arn and Tully.
I like it.
And Sean Spears I think that could... the little bitch who takes the pin. And,
Sean Spears is the little bitch.
But yeah, so I don't know. I could see that as potentially being viable. Maybe this has got something to do with the Blood Brothers thing. I've literally no idea. But yeah, I like
your Four Horsemen thing. That's a good idea.
It's one of them though. At the same time, I don't want to see him. He's just so good on his own, and I feel like it's going to be him and Wardlow.
To be honest, it was almost like a shot at it, by saying oh look, almost pointing out that they're so sort of faction or tag team heavy. It seems odd to join that fray when we've got plenty.
This is true.
I don't know.
This is true. Interesting. Yeah, intrigued to see where it goes.
Yeah, and Sean Spears isn't busy.
Well, exactly. He's just adjusting his gloves somewhere in catering. We then get a promo from Eddie Kingston, who, again, as we know, is a solid promo. He's not forgetting the fact he didn't get eliminated, so I like that they're keeping on going with that. They're not just forgetting it was a thing, which WWE definitely would have done.
To the point that I think even Lance Archer references it later as well, doesn't
he? Exactly. Another potential for Blood Brothers is he going on about their faction, basically not being a faction but being a family. So potentially these guys are going to be the Blood Brothers. But yeah, I thought again, he referenced last week, he was kind of breaking kayfabe a bit around Ali being kind of with QT Marshall and stuff like that, and he said in his promo this week, Blade, it's time for you to get your home in order. So I'm assuming we're going to see some sort of Dustin QT thing against Butcher and Blade.
Nice.
I think that's where that's going.
Well, no one knew why Ali left in the first place, so it's the only gripe I've got with that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an abduction angle, literally just take Ali on a pole match. What is this?
On some pole anyway.
I mean, that sounded a lot kinkier than I wanted it to, but
yeah. Ali on my pole match. So the next match, and this might shock you potentially, but Jericho, Hager and Private Party was probably the worst match of the night. But it wasn't bad. That's not me saying it was bad.
No, I take your point on that, to be honest. It wasn't bad, but it was probably the least compelling, really.
It just felt bland, and I feel like the pacing was quite off, so I don't know whether it was a chemistry thing or what, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it should have been better than what it actually was, but it was.
There wasn't really a lot of story to tell here either.
No, the whole kind of point of it is Jericho and Hager are starting their ascent on the tag division. So by taking out a team like Private Party, it's they're not big enough to make you go fucking hell. These guys are straight away going into the main event of the tag division, but at the same time they're established enough to make you think, okay, they're serious contenders. So I get it, but yeah, it was just meh. But Jericho ended up getting the win with the Judas Effect, and this was weird because he then beat one of them down after the match, but then he got knocked out with a Pele kick. So yeah, I don't know. It was you
can never beat a good Pele kick though.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're going. For me, I saw this as here's a little stepping stone for the the tag stuff, but maybe it's not done. Maybe it's going to be a little feud between these two. But also worth noting that Matt Hardy got laid out prior to the match, which we assume was by Jericho and the help of.
What makes you think that?
Well, yeah. So I thought it was still good, but it was probably just a bit meh. Thunder Rosa, Anthony. Thunder Rosa. She's just a legend. She's literally
awesome, man.
She just another solid match from her. and she made Ivelisse look fucking decent. But as we said at the start of the show, what a fucking dickhead Ivelisse is, right? So in this match, she just, like, what a bitch. She just no-sold so much stuff, and she looked like she couldn't be arsed.
Do you know what? I'm a bit perplexed by this, because there's been a lot of speculation, and I left it off the Ringside Report for this very reason, because we're going to talk about it here. There's been a lot of speculation about this because a lot of people say it turned into a shoot because Thunder Rosa took exception to the no selling and so on like that. But then everyone's come out and been like the likes of Thunder Rosa herself has come out and said, no, there's nothing like that. It all went to plan, sort of thing. And there's like a suggestion now that the idea was to get to that point so that you could see more of that hard hitting MMA style from Thunder Rosa, but that still doesn't feel right to me. That because why would you no sell her moves beforehand? It feels like they're just trying to go no, it's all good, so that we know there's no drama, but there actually is some drama. That is speculative on my part, but I feel like they're trying to put down the fact that there's some drama going on back there when there actually is. But yeah, there's some suggestion that it's fine. They're all good. Everyone's fine.
For me, I didn't see any evidence of it turned into a shoot or anything necessarily. But I think you've got to watch that back and just go she just didn't give a shit. And it's more one for Tony Khan than anything. You can't be everybody's best mate, Tony. When people are doing this shit on your TV show, on your product that you're building from the ground up, it's a complete lack of professionalism. And she needs to be.
This lass has got a tag match next week.
Exactly, and it's just so what are they going to do? Just let it happen? She just, and I've heard things as well of a house burnt down or something, and stuff like that. Which if it's happened, then holy shit, that's a terrible thing. But I don't know, it didn't come across to me as she was upset about a house or something. It just came across as she can't be asked, and it was just I don't know. No, it really ruined the match for me.
Other than that suggestion that it was some sort of work, which I don't believe. I feel like it might have been a bit more of a cover-up. But she needs her ass kicking before the tag team match, if that's the case. Because, like you say, it was very sort of lazy and unsold. And that wasn't Thunder Rosa still put on a great match with her. But this notably was not as good as, her name's escaped me already.
Shida.
Yeah, Hikaru Shida. And I'm not saying it could have been because, Shida's really good. But at the same time, this could have been a better match with a bit better selling from the other side.
Yeah, definitely. Which is, it's a proper shame really because it's the only sour part of the match. But yeah, so it happens anyway, and it goes to plan. Rosa gets the win, but then they start trying to beat her down after the match, and Shida comes out and makes a save, which is interesting. So yeah, as you mentioned, looks like they're going to build towards a tag match next week of the two champions taking on Ivelisse and the other one.
And the other one.
Diamante. Yeah, Diamante. Then the next segment we got was just a little brief Miro and Kip Sabian segment, which made me laugh, to be fair. So Miro's in the back lifting weights. He's just making up the numbers. As soon as he knows the camera's on, he's just trying to make out like he's done loads. And then, he's all aggressive and stuff. And then Kip kind of calms him down. He's like, well, haven't you got something else to do before you go out and beat people up? And say, oh yeah, I'm going to throw you a bachelor party and stuff. And I don't know, it's just small things, and it is a bit weird to see him doing stuff like this, but at the same time, he doesn't need to be this. He's spent ages being this fucking Bulgarian brute of he's got a personality. He's funny. He's got a Twitch channel.
He's got a bit of range.
Exactly. So I'm all for it, and he's getting Kip over as well, which you can't do on his own. Kip, he's talented. He can go in the ring, but at the minute his fiance is more over than he is, and
rightly so though. She should be more prominent on the women's roster, in all fairness. She's really good.
Yeah, exactly. But now they brought Miro in as well with him, and people might look at that as going, oh, well, that's going to, make him even less over. But if anything, it's doing the opposite because you care now because you want to see Miro and Kip. So hopefully
it'll help build Kip up.
Hey, see what you did there. Genius. So then, of course, just some really good storytelling. So Lance Archer and Jake come out. And basically Jake cuts a promo, which was fine, to be fair. It's more like the kind of Jake promo that has done him quite well in the past, and he's basically come out and said that he's had to make a deal with the devil because there's going to be a 6-man tag next week.
I love this really bad dad pun, to be honest.
Yeah. There's going to be a 6-man next week, and Lance Archer needs 2 partners. So Jake has made a deal with the devil, the Tasmanian devil, and he brings out Taz. And again, it makes sense. So basically, the deal he's made is, I need Brian Cage and Ricky Starks to be tag members with Archer. But when he wins, Cage is going to get the first title shot. So as someone's manager, you would accept that deal, right?
That's the thing. It works for all parties, so it makes sense how they've come together.
Exactly. So you're like, okay, that does make sense. So then Mox's music plays, and he starts to come down from the rafters, but they're being one step ahead, and Cage and Starks are already waiting for him, and they beat him down. And then Will Hobbs comes out of nowhere. Now, I don't mean this to come across bad, and it's certainly not like a racist statement. I want to make that very clear. But I feel like with the prominence of Keith Lee, all of a sudden AEW have gone, wouldn't it be great if we had a really kind of athletic, strong, black dude that we could push?
Yeah.
And he's just kind of
like
come out of
a strong title position.
So I don't know, maybe
it wouldn't it wouldn't. I get what you mean. It's not a racist statement, but at the same time, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen wrestling have that sort of agenda and try and push that sort of thing.
And I think
it's not bad for Hobbs by any means, but
oh no, well, by all accounts, he impressed in the wasn't a casino? Was it a casino battle royal? Is that what it's called?
I think it was the casino battle royal. Yeah.
So he was in that, and he did impress. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like if WWE had done this, we would probably call them out on it. So I don't know. It feels like it's just kind of come out of nowhere. I
will say, no offense to Hobbs, and this is by no means a gripe, but it was kind of the energy I was getting. Like, he was so sort of pumped and sort of. I was expecting him to just sort of land Mox with the chair at some point. Like, they've only just come together, but I was like, is he going to turn heel in a sec? Because he was like proper like ready to hit someone. And I was like, shit, Mox is the only one around.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think he was very excitable. But he definitely he had that kind of energy, which did remind me a little bit of like Keith Lee, to be fair. So that's one of the reasons I was making that.
So you suggested he might be limitless.
As long as he can actually string a sentence together. Small sentences in like less than like a minute and 30 seconds.
But they've yet to answer the question. Will Hobbs?
So it looks like Moxley's first partner is going to be Will Hobbs, and he also called out Darby to show up next week and be his other partner. So
I want to give a little nod to that as well, because I think it's great the way everyone's been built up over the years, and I don't think this was like the long-term plan by any means. I just like the way things work. Like, they made a natural selection in Darby because they've had that history between Mox and Darby, to the point that it didn't feel weird that Mox has just randomly gone, and Darby, get off your and addressed him and told him. Like, it seems like something Darby Allin would do. Yeah, they've had that connection between him and Starks, but they've also had that history between him and Mox that he probably would do him a favour. And I like the fact that it wasn't just like a random choice that you're like, okay, I guess he's joining them.
Yeah, definitely. I think, the Will Hobbs thing seemed to just come out of fucking nowhere, but fair dues. Let's see how it goes. But the Darby thing made loads of sense, I think. So the last one then is the main event. And what a fucking main event that was. How good was that main event? Like, I know I messaged you after I saw Dynamite. I was like, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Like, it was just...
It was awesome. So good. It was so good. Like, I think for me, like, I don't know, the Best Friends probably benefited from this a fair bit as well, but this really did a lot for in my eyes anyway, for Santana and Ortiz.
Yeah,
this was
definitely
such a good match for them.
Yeah, people have been critical, haven't they, and said they've been underutilized and stuff in the past. But look, they're in the main event of the show. They come across like fucking badasses. Like,
yeah, and this is them standing on their own 2 feet as well. They're still mates with the Inner Circle, but this wasn't an Inner Circle thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're not in the outer circle now. But even so, like the whole thing was. I mean, it was great for all parties, to be honest. Like, Best Friends benefited from it too, but my focus was on Santana and Ortiz. I've never seen them look better, I'll be honest.
Yeah, it was awesome, and like fair play to everybody involved. They all took some serious bumps and some serious shit in that match. And
credit goes out to the Cars as well. They took some serious fucking bumps.
But yeah, I thought Orange Cassidy was good in this as well. Like, he had his moments, but he didn't. Even though he's now been turned into this main event star with the stuff with Jericho, he didn't steal the show from them.
No,
Like,
we had that
there's
nice
moments.
sort of shock moment with when they opened and again I'll help the Yanks out here instead of being British about it, when they opened the trunk. But beyond that, like you say, he didn't sort of overshadow the rest of the thing. Then
Yeah, exactly. And it was still about them too. So, if it was, I don't know, say for example WWE had just like made Roman Reigns, for example, and then he was a main event star, and then they wanted him, it would be solely about him. Whereas Orange Cassidy was there, he had the assist, helped them out, and then just let it go back to the tag team match for the finishes and stuff. So, yeah, I just thought it was awesome. And the cherry on top of the cake was obviously after the match, they get in Trent's mum's minivan, and she's driving off, and then she just flips him the bird, all cool like this. It was fucking brilliant. So yeah, I thought it was an awesome show. I really enjoyed it.
And again, I'm not comparing them just for comparing them's sake, but this is the type of thing, like when we were talking about gimmick matches before, WWE can't do anything like this now. You can't be PG and pull off a match like this effectively. And that's not to say these guys are willing to get hurt more so. And you could argue there wasn't anything particularly difficult PG wise there, but this would have been executed a lot more hokey with WWE and their mindset at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair to them, the Edge and Orton thing still felt a bit violent, but this was probably that just that little
to be
bit
fair,
more.
I'll agree, but I think we need to bear in mind that Edge and Orton was reserved for a pay-per-view.
Yeah, this is true.
Not a great thing, like, but I do take your points, but like they held that for a pay-per-view for that very reason, I suppose.
Yeah,
like when they let someone bleed or something like that, it's always on a pay-per-view, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely a fair show. But yeah, for me, I love the show. Thought it was excellent. For me, it gets a 4.5.
Wow.
I thought it was phenomenal. Like, there was literally the only things I can think of that brought that show down at all was the Jericho Private Party Hager match was meh, and the way Eva Lise was in her match. But I can't fault it for keeping me entertained throughout. So 4.5 for me. I'm guessing you're not quite on that high of the Richter scale.
I'm struggling because I was going to give it a 4, but I've no reason why I would disagree with you. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I should give it a 4.5 because what was wrong with it? Like, it doesn't deserve full 5 because there were a couple of very minor gripes. I equally don't have any shites. Like, it was a really solid week. It was more engaging, more entertaining than anything else this week. So I think I'm going to have to land on a 4.5 as well because I've no reason for it not to be.
So your
other than my reluctance to give high scores, and that's just me being difficult. Like, I can't knock it. It was a really solid week. Everything hit, and like you say, like when you have a match that was still really good, but there was a minor gripe in it. An example being Eva Lise. Like, can you even knock the match when it's still executed well? Like, I can't. I honestly can't disagree with you. That's 4.5. Definitely 4.5.
Wow, I'm blown away. Now, will SmackDown top it, Anthony?
Well, I'll tell you what. Should we put it to a vote? Everyone, get out your phones and vote now. Yeah, I mean, I'll give the results before that, but whatever. Right. So, Carl. I've run out of alcohol as well, so that's not good. Got to get through this. I feel your pain, Jeff. I've got to do this sober as well. Too soon. So, we opened the night with the dirt sheet, and I have some gripes about that. But essentially, Miz and Morrison doing the dirt sheets with the interruption from Tucky and Otis with shenanigans. We then have our first match of the night, which is Cesaro versus Gran Metalik, with Cesaro taking the win, and then shenanigans on the outside from the other two Lucha House Party, because apparently they're going to split the Lucha House Party up by the looks of it. We then, because we haven't had enough chat shows, we cut to a Moment of Bliss with Nikki Cross, which leads ultimately, and again, we'll gripe about that a little bit further, it ultimately leads to a match between Lacey Evans and Nikki Cross, with Nikki Cross taking the win. We then have a backstage promo with Sasha Banks addressing the Bayley situation, with a surprise attack from Bayley, which we'll discuss. We have AJ Styles going up against Sami Zayn, with AJ Styles taking the win, and some fantastic heel work from Sami as far as I'm concerned, and some annoying participation from Jeff as far as I'm concerned. And then we close the night out with Jey Uso and Roman Reigns going up against Corbin and Sheamus. Okay, for some reason, because we haven't already seen that before. And this is in a Samoan street fight with the Samoans taking the win, obviously.
What is it that makes it a Samoan street fight, Anthony? It's just the fact that there's two Samoans in it.
Yeah,
okay.
that was pretty much the reason. So, as far as the highlights go, I'm still the first one straight out the gate. I'm still digging Roman as a heel. I think the heel work's been fantastic. I was honestly a little bit twitchy when Heyman went to talk. For clarity, before the match, he made a point of coming out first to cut a bit of a promo. And Heyman went to talk, and he insisted on the mic from Heyman. Again, I'm loving this weird relationship where Heyman's not the mouthpiece or doesn't even feel like the boss. He's just there with him. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when Roman wants something, Roman gets it. And there's almost this little bit of fear from Heyman, which I think it's totally different character work, really. But Roman cut a promo, which I personally don't think Roman's good on the mic when he has to say a lot, if that makes sense. Like, this worked because it was a short thing of basically being like, this is my yard, and that usual bollocks, right? But it works because he's being a heel and he's being arrogant. I think Heyman's perfect for when he needs to say something more than that. Yep. But I didn't mind him having the mic just to make short statements. I came out first to prove a point. This is my yard, blah, blah, blah. That works. So as far as this sort of devious backstabby heel that Roman's becoming, I fucking love it. I love the work he's doing where he's like really friendly with Jay, like hugging, smiling and all that. And the minute Jay's back's turned, he's like gunning daggers and just this deception. And honestly, if they don't pay this off by him just laying into Jey Uso on Gold Rush or whatever the fuck, your Clash of Champions, to the point that you're like, fuck, he's doing that to his own family, I'll be a little bit disappointed. But I'm not going to start souring that now. There's definitely going to be a beating in Jay's future. But I'm loving the heel work so far.
Even if you've got to do it yourself. Yeah, definitely, mate. I think he's a breath of fresh air as a heel, Roman. Like, if they would have brought him back and he was doing the same old shit with like that tired old Roman character, it would have been awful. So yeah. He's like they've signed a superstar. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing
legitimately the only thing they need to do now is change his fucking theme music.
Well, and they've still got that stupid little 3D model of him where he's like this.
Yeah, but now they've just put the shit. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
To be honest, it's better than having that big animated dog do stuff.
They need to sack them off anyway. I hate them. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're still not fully committed to it. So like the theme, like those graphics and stuff, like, yeah, I think that would be the thing that proper solidifies him. Hopefully, as you say, hopefully he absolutely murders Jey Uso at Clash of Champions, and then that's the thing that solidifies him as a heel, and he gets new music and stuff from then.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually looking forward to their match, and I didn't think I would be. The minute Jey Uso won it, I was like, okay. But I'm actually really looking forward to it now. I think it's going to be one of the better matches of the night. So fair play to them. The next highlight I want to give is Sasha Banks cut a really good promo, heartfelt, got the point across with this feud. And then I honestly weren't expecting Bayley to hit the attack, and I thought that was really good. I was glad they didn't go full thingy with it again. They had the security get in pretty quick and stop her, so we're still building towards that feud without, unrealistically injuring Banks. But all in all, I thought the promo worked towards their inevitable match. Couldn't.
Wouldn't it have been nice if there was all that security there the first time this happened, so that
No, they just had to.
That
happened in the ring, Carl. So wait, there's rules.
Yeah, that was my only kind of main, gripe about it, is like they just pick and choose when, like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
yeah,
it just doesn't make sense. The only other thing, I thought Sasha was a fantastic promo in this, but I wasn't really a big fan of the way she was like, "You're nothing without me," and looked a bit like, I don't know, she came across more as like stalkerish or something than kind of saying like, you know what I mean, that the message she tried to get across. But no, I liked it. I thought it was a good promo.
And my last highlight, Carl, and okay, I have some strong opinions on this. The Intercontinental title scene at the moment. Sami Zayn is the best fucking thing there. His heel work is brilliant. I even love the screwy finish this match where he tried to pull the tights on AJ, got caught out by the ref, and then AJ rolled him up and done the exact same fucking thing, and then he got a cob on because he lost. And he was trying to argue with the ref over it. I love the fact he's such a smart. He's like, I never lost. And he's arguing with every producer, every ref, every person involved that he's the one being hard done to and he should be the champion. I just love the way he's a heel. He's just such a whingy, whiny asshole, but in the right way. Do you know what I mean? And he's, for me, he's a breath of fresh air in this debate. I would be bored now if it was just Jeff and AJ. And that shouldn't be a statement. That shouldn't be the case because AJ's great in the ring and Jeff, he's Jeff.
You couldn't even give him that, could you? And Jeff.
Thing is, right? Jeff. I think, right, and you will. A lot of people will argue with me on this, and I don't care, right? I think Jeff, especially right now, is a fucking lie. right? You all talk about him being this high flyer, this charismatic enigma. He teases it. That's all he ever fucking does is tease it. Like he'll get the ladder out and he'll walk up it and stuff like that. Other than doing a swanton, he doesn't do fucking much. I'll be honest with you. Maybe he did once. It's not the case now. To the point, this match was so fucking hokey. I've gone into an oh-shite, sorry. This match was so fucking hokey. He got the ladder out and then just sauntered under it. I'm like, what the fuck is that? That's not. What's that about? All right, he's booking a ladder match, but like, don't dance under the ladder. What the hell?
But he does. He hasn't had enough bad luck in his life that he wants.
Yeah,
a lot more.
And he's got a new catchphrase, but can't for the life of me remember what it was. So yeah, he's selling a shirt anyway. So I'll move on to the O'Shea. That turned into an O'Shea pretty quick. I do apologise. But Sami Zayn, what do you think of him, Carl? I think he's ace. Other than his attire being a bit more boring than it was, as a character, I think he's brilliant.
I don't mind him. He's doing the heel work well, I think. But I don't know. There's just something about him that I don't know how much of it is like proper heel heat and how much of it's like X-Pac heat for me. I'm just a bit like.
It's because he's ginger, isn't it, Carl? You don't like him.
Yes. No. Yeah, I don't know. I just I liked the bit where he was fuming the fact he didn't announce him as the Intercontinental Champion and stuff. I like that, but I don't know, like the stuff where he's like fuming after the match and things. I don't know. I'm a bit just a bit hit and miss with me, but I do like him. I agree with you that he's definitely freshened up that IC title scene. If it would have just been AJ and Jeff for ages, it would have got very repetitive very quickly, I think.
What do you make of the proposed triple threat ladder match?
Well, let's see if Jeff is the high-flying, charismatic enigma, or whether he is just.
I spend most of it pretending he's going to climb. Eventually, he'll climb the ladder. There's not going to be much happening. It's going to be a fucking lie. It's a lie. There's a heavy suggestion that Willow might be making an appearance as well. Not necessarily a Gold Rush, but it's they're pushing for this whole. He's going to change into this Willow character. Do you think Willow has a place in WWE?
I don't know. I don't think we'll see them just because of the how well recognised the name Jeff Hardy is. If I'm honest, they only care about like merch and stuff. But
yeah, but they'll do exactly what they did with Bray, and they'll go Jeff Willow Hardy.
Yeah,
the Willow Jeff Hardy or something like that. That's what they'll do.
The question I've got: Did he even? I can't even remember now. Did he do anything with the fact that he was dehydrated last week?
No.
Was that just completely?
I even wrote a smarky little comment that I didn't put here. In fact, do I moan about Jeff? I haven't done my O'Shite yet. Yeah, moan about Jeff. And in me moan about Jeff is that it's like, all right, he must have remembered to have a drink this week. I didn't mean it like that. Like he must have remembered to hydrate. No, he didn't do nothing with it. Stupid.
No.
Anyway, as for the O'Shite, Carl, we need to talk about Otis, Miz, and every fucker involved. So we've had a few weeks of them trying to steal the Money in the Bank contract, and they keep getting the wrong case or whatever. This week we opened with the dirt sheet. In which the Miz done exactly what the Miz does. I don't know why people are surprised at this anymore. He aggravated Otis over Mandy Rose to the point that Otis come out and weirdly stripped him down to his underwear. Okay, let's go with that. So Miz runs off in his tighty whities, and then it turns out it was all part of the plan because he's on his phone to his lawyer, as we find out later. And then we suggest that the Miz is now suing Otis, and I just don't know how to feel about it because he's suing him because the dirt sheet is a news program, and he's what was it? There was a few different clauses, but one of the reasons was creating an unsafe working environment, and one of them was it was some sort of negligence to the Money in the Bank, and I was like, that's kind of a weird thing to try and sue him over. But yeah, I'm a bit torn on it because I'm a little bit like that's kind of in keeping with something the Miz would do as a heel move, but then there are plenty of heels who, if suing was an option in a wrestling company, would probably do it. So why are we suddenly able to sue people for wrestling? But the main gripe I've got with this is the hokey, he's a dumb redneck shit that WWE like to do. So because obviously he's blue collar solid, he doesn't like to read or doesn't like the news or anything like that. So when this guy comes up and he's like, "You've been served," what's the first thing Otis is doing? "Well, I've been served. Is there a buffet?" Like that kind of stupidity that just isn't realistic, and I think is actually kind of degrading to Otis and to that stereotype. To be honest, like, oh, he's got that accent, so he must be dumb. I fucking hate the way WWE do that. So then Tucker had to explain the whole thing to him, and when they mentioned the dirt sheet being a news program, Otis is like, "I hate the news," and you're like, oh, "Fuck's sake!" I can't be on board with all that. I think we're way past that kind of hokey dumb shit, to be honest with you. And this could have been a news article because I've seen it in the sort of wrestling news sheets, that they're looking for a way of getting the Money in the Bank contract away from Otis because they have no idea what the fuck to do with him. So I think this is probably the mechanism, because the stipulation was we won't sue you if you surrender the Money in the Bank contract. So I think this is probably where we're going to land. But then that would mean that the contract is either with Miz or Morrison. So how do you feel about this whole shite? This just utter shite that they've put together?
I feel like it's a load of shite, Anthony. I really do. They've booked themselves into a corner because they should never have put the fucking thing on Otis, which I said at the time because it made zero sense. There's no end game there with it. The only thing you could do is have him go after someone and lose, because he's not going to dethrone fucking anyone.
You see, this is the thing for me though. Why doesn't he just go after someone and lose? You don't always have to win just because you've got the contract stipulation there.
I know.
Otherwise, the Money in the Bank would always be predictable. It's like, well, he's going to cash in and win. What if he cashes in and fucks it up?
Yeah.
Or what if if we're buying into Otis being dumb, what if he actually runs out of time? We've never seen that happen before. Where he's like, oh, I was meant to cash it. No, I mean, people would probably be really annoyed at that, actually, but even so. And I honestly don't think it'd be much better on the Miz or Morrison. Are they realistic candidates?
Because, they're not going to dethrone Roman or anything, are they? So I don't know.
They really made a hard slog for themselves, WWE, with this shit. So yeah, wasn't happy at all with any of the Otis stuff. My next one was just, I mentioned this briefly before we started recording, but it turns out, and I need to eat a bit of humble pie here first of all, that when I moaned about Michael Cole last week, signposting Bliss having a moment, sorry, it turns out the using the phrase "the Fiend" is actually her trigger word. So it was, I think you tried to call it last week, and I was like, "This stupid," and moaning, but Michael Cole was the one who triggered it, whereas I misinterpreted it. I thought she was going into a trance-like state, and Michael Cole called it before she did it, and I was like, fucking Cole. But it turns out, no, he was triggering it, and if you mention the Fiend, she gets triggered and becomes this, I don't know what she becomes. She fades off and Abigail's people everywhere. And to be honest, that's made everything so much worse. I would sooner she have turned heel properly in some way, or actually been aware of what she was doing. Doing this trance-like state is almost like a fucking prepared cop-out to go, well, if people don't like it, then we'll just get rid of it. And she was never a bad person. She just was a zombie or whatever. I don't like it at all. How do you feel? So, you're a big Bliss fan, Carl, so I'm wondering how you feel about this.
Yeah, I think it's a load of shit. So what, is the Fiend a hypnotist now then? Is he just,
Yeah, apparently,
yeah. If you say fucking, I don't know, you say the word fucking duck, she's going to run around going, wah, 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 like, you know what? Like,
for my
where
next
does
trick.
it stop? Where does it stop?
I wanted to hypnotize someone else. I wanted to hypnotize like Roman or Braun or someone.
Well, exactly, if he's got that ability, like, why not put some fucking miming in there as well? Just, really show off his fucking skills.
Yeah.
I just think it's shit.
Yeah.
It's proper shit.
And despite
I don't even get where they're going with...
Sorry, go on.
I don't even get where they're going with Nikki Cross and stuff as well, with bringing her on the show, and then kind of, Alexa non-trance being like, well, you did get beat last time and stuff. But it was like, well, what? I don't get it.
Yeah, to the point Nikki had to try and address it. And then she was kind of like not knowing what she was talking about. All very strange. And then obviously they triggered her again this week, and she hit the Sister Abigail on Lacey Evans. I honestly don't know where they're going with the whole Bliss storyline either. Like, is it just going to keep that? People are just going to have to avoid that word. And I'm also curious, is it just Fiend, or are you allowed to say Bray? Because wouldn't it be quite easy for everyone just to refer to him as Bray, and then we don't get that?
Very true. So, okay, whenever someone says that, we'll just call him Bray from now.
And despite that, we got no Fiend or Bray at all this week. So that's all you're getting, just that hint. Right. I'm curious how you felt about this one. My next O'Shea, Carl, is Big E. Because Big E, right, he was attacked by Sheamus, ambushed, as it were, a couple of weeks ago now, I think. And this week, backstage guy comes over to Sheamus like, someone's stealing your car or some shit, right? But before that, he was thanking the backstage guy for helping him ambush Big E, right? I want to make that bit clear first. So then Sheamus runs back to see who's stealing his car, and it was Big E. So Big E hits Sheamus twice and then lets him run away. So a nice bit of payback there. And then spends about 10 minutes beating the shit out of this backstage guy. And I'm like, why did you let Sheamus get away? Why is this guy taking most of the beating? And they were trying to explain it. It was like, Big E was like, oh, I believe you were the one who set me up. I was like, yeah, but he's just helped you set Sheamus up. Like, can you be that mad at him? Like, I was
That's
so
very true.
confused. But why do you have such a big issue with this guy? He was throwing him into car bonnets and everything. It was and weirdly, right? We had like a nice little backstage parking lot brawl, didn't we, Carl? After Dynamite on Wednesday. Just saying.
Definitely of the same caliber as well.
But yeah, I don't get. For me, this hurt Biggie a little bit. I'm like, well, the guy you're meant to be gunning for, you've let fuck off and go and have his tag match or whatever, and you're just beating the shit out of this randomer who's not a wrestler. So does that really make you look badass? My next one, Jeff. Don't need to say much more, to be honest with you, Carl. I'm not over on. I really hope they move into this Willow gimmick because I'm not over on what Jeff currently is. And I've mentioned it way too much to harp on and on and on. I'll mention that, like you say, there was no issue with hydration at all this week. Surprisingly, they're allowing Jeff to book a ladder match when he can't even walk up a fucking ramp without fainting. So that's interesting. But there you go. But I really hope they do something with his character that's more than just this sort of underdog fucking constantly.
Yeah, it's just tired, isn't it? It's like I feel like I've seen it all before. He's the underdog. He's always the underdog. He's had demons. He's now, isn't he great? He's battled all his demons. Still the underdog. Like, yeah, it definitely needs to be freshened up. Whether or not it's Willow,
funny.
whether it's just.
It's kind of similar to how they tried to book John Cena all the time. Way back when he was like the champ and the dynasty and the biggest thing in WWE, and he was still the underdog somehow.
Yeah,
fucking crazy. Right, and last one, slightly unrelated to SmackDown specifically. But there was no Braun Strowman this week, and no one said anything about a trade. So are we just to assume that Braun belongs on Raw now? Is that how it works? Because he just rocked up on Underground, and we've not seen him back on SmackDown. So he threw his strop that much that he just is on Raw now? Is that how it works?
Well, he's also going to be on Raw this week, isn't he, against Dabba-Kato? So
yeah, so they've already pre-booked. They even announced that match on SmackDown and said nothing about him being a SmackDown superstar. They were just like, this is happening. What the hell?
Weird. No idea.
Really weird. All in all, I'm going to have to give this one a 2.
Okay. I am actually going to give it a 1.5, if I'm perfectly honest. It actually gets lower than Raw because the only thing in the whole show that I thought was decent is, as we've already said, was the Roman stuff and the Banks promo, really. Like, other than that, it was a whole lot of nothing.
Which is worrying, actually, because, like, the Roman stuff was the build to him as a heel. Not so much the match. The match was okay. But that means that, like, there was no actual real matches that were any good, which is a bit worrying, isn't it? So there you have it. That's SmackDown as well. Sadly, I dare say the worst show of the week for both of us, was it? Can't remember what I gave Raw, but there or thereabouts. And that was This Week in Wrestling, guys. And that was this week for A to the K. We hope you've enjoyed. As always, you can find us on every social media. I don't know if you want to run through them, Carl. You're much better at that than I.
On the TikTokies, on the Instagrammies, on the Twitters, on the Face Aches, on the
other ones.
Yeah, obviously on YouTube,
we are
Spotify,
on YouTube.
Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever there's podcasts, we're there.
Yeah, we're all over it.
Tell us.
We are now on Amazon Music because they've started doing podcasts.
We are.
Another plug.
So shout out to Amazon. And also, let us know where you listen to your podcasts because we're on that many places, even we can't keep track of them. So let us know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we'd like to know what the most popular app for you guys actually is, And always, as always, like, share, recommend to a friend, recommend to an enemy, fuck them. Right. As always, guys, we'll see you next week.
Take it easy.
WWE superstar Cedric Alexander here to ask you one question. Or maybe many questions. Do you like wrestling? Do you like podcasts? Do you have YouTube? Do you have Spotify? Do you have any other form of social media where you can listen to podcasts? Well, then you should be listening to A to the K Wrestle Talk. That's A to the K Wrestle Talk. Listen to it because I said so.